So here we have some examples of different metals. This is some copper. This is a large lead ball. Here we have a little zinc cylinder. There's a tin cylinder, a copper cylinder, and aluminum cylinder. Then here we have a steel cylinder. Now we note that the different metals almost look identical to each other, with the exception of copper. Copper is very noticeably different. If I had gold here, gold would also look noticeably different, or platinum. But for the most part, many of the metal elements, especially when they're pure, they do not look that much different from one another. And when we have something like steel that is a mixture of carbon, a little bit of carbon with iron, it also looks just like other metals do. All of these conduct electricity, although some of these are not magnetic. In fact, only one of these is magnetic, and that's the iron-based steel. Here are some more metal elements. These happen to be flammable, that is, each one of them will combine with oxygen in a fire. One is magnesium, nice shiny color. Magnesium is a light metal often used in different alloys for light, strong frames, such as rims for cars or different alloys of aluminum. Calcium metal, here we have it stored under oil, and it looks like these little dark gray flakes. And we store it under oil because it will react with moisture in the air. We also have some sodium metal here. Now, sodium is so reactive that it's also packaged, here it's packaged with mineral oil. It's so reactive that we have to keep it away from oxygen, or else it would start to combine with oxygen. It's a nice white color. If we were to mix it with water, it would start to react quite violently, and in fact it would catch on fire, which we do not want to do. So the magnesium is a dark gray, stored under mineral oil because it does react with, the calcium does react with oxygen and moisture in the atmosphere. Now sulfur is rather smelly. It also happens to be somewhat flammable as well. It will combine with oxygen. Sulfur, like many of the nonmetals, is crystalline or powdery. Here we have different flakes of sulfur. Often it comes as a powder, and it's very brittle and or does not bend or give or mold into shapes, while metals readily do. Sodium, calcium, and magnesium being some examples. Now, the metals themselves don't really have any aroma. However, some nonmetals like sulfur are extremely odorous, very smelly.
Manganese, it's brown because there's an oxide layer. It's like it's rust. Underneath that layer, it's shiny. Each of these is shiny as long as it doesn't have rust on the surface. Luster is a way that we describe shiny. Ductile means you can stretch it out carefully into a thin wire. Malleable means you can pound it into different shapes. Another property of metals is they are sonorous. That is, when you strike them or hit them, they can ring like a bell. All of these substances contain only one type of atom. You see their names on the periodic table: manganese, nickel. Elements might exist as individual atoms or in molecules, as in the case of sulfur. A pure substance just means you have something with a fixed composition. Compounds are chemically bonded and they contain more than one type of element. Steel is not a pure substance, it's a mixture. It can have varying amounts of carbon of other metals. The steel, which is actually an alloy, was the only magnetic metal that we've looked at so far. We have some silver wire here and some shiny copper sheets. some shiny tin sheets. Lead tends to be sort of a dull color. It's very soft metal. And some bismuth. It's right on the verge of being a metalloid, although it's considered a metal. Some clumps of sulfur powder, as well as some carbon powder, same thing in diamonds. We have our noble gases argon and neon, as well as 3 samples of our diatomic nonmetals, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen, all colorless.